Hi, my name is Lynn Fitzhugh. I'm Thurston Climate Action Team's outreach director. And we have designed a whole variety of action groups to support taking action on climate in Thurston County. We have a tree action group, Eating for Healthy Planet support group. We have a transportation action group. We have buildings as climate action group. We have a group for high school youth, and we also have a general advocacy group. So find your niche, join us, or support us financially to get this important work done.
My name is Tom Crawford. I'm board president of Thurston Climate Action Team. And I'd like to talk now a little bit about the Carbon Free Thurston campaign that we started in 2016. The purpose of that campaign was to encourage local governments to take steps to address climate change by addressing our local greenhouse gas emissions. And that's the pollution that contributes to the climate crisis that we're seeing in the fires and the smoke we saw this summer, and the floods that we're seeing, and the intense storms that we're seeing in other parts of the country. We were successful in 2018 in getting the cities of Lacey, Olympia, and Tumwater and Thurston County to commit to science-based targets for reducing greenhouse gas emissions here locally. And that included 45% below 2015 levels by 2030 and 85% below 2015 levels by 2050. And so that's a major achievement that the cities in the county have committed to that, and they are now wrapping up an effort to complete a plan, an action plan for how to achieve those targets. Carbon Free Thurston continues to be involved in that. The steering committee meetings and the climate advisory work group meeting as they occur around that plan, and we'll be working hard to show up at city council meetings and county commissioner meetings to let them know that the Thurston County community is solidly behind strong climate action and encourages them to adopt the plan. We meet every month. And it's at this point a virtual meeting, so it's easy to get online, don't have to drive anywhere. And our meetings discuss various strategies for getting people out to city council and county commissioner meetings. And we're also starting to plan for specific areas of action are recommended in the in the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan. So that we can help the cities in the county get a head start on taking some of those actions. And so some of the things that we're talking about are a declaration of a climate emergency to streamline some things that could be made simpler for climate action. For example, incentives for local homeowners and business people to make energy efficiency improvements in their facilities. Or other kinds of things that might be made easier through a climate emergency declaration. And we're also working on other policy areas, and our role is primarily to advocate for strong climate action, take that advocacy step to the city councils and the county commissioners, and to local businesses and other organizations, associations like chambers of commerce and folks like that. So that's kind of our role within Thurston Climate Action Team.
I'm Carrie Ziegler, and I facilitate TCAT's Transportation Action Group. We've been meeting together with this group for just a few months now, but the group has a lot of energy, and we're really excited about a lot of different elements of transportation. Transportation happens to be one of the largest emissions contributors in Thurston County. And it turns out that buying an electric vehicle is probably the single largest contribution people can make to lower their own personal carbon emissions. But it doesn't stop there, because as you buy an electric vehicle, an EV for short, turns out that people tend to become like just these advocates for electric vehicles. They love these cars so much that they want to tell their neighbors and their friends about it, and we still don't know that much about EVs as the public, and so we're learning from each other. This Transportation Action Group has been really interesting and really great in that people have been really getting ideas from each other. One person in the group joined because she was interested in electric vehicles and wanted to buy one, but she was nervous, didn't know enough about it. After maybe 2 months in the group, she went right out and bought her own used electric vehicle, and she's loving it. We decided to focus mostly on electric vehicles at this point in time because it seemed like, as a small group, one of the most actionable things we could do to really get behind doing an educational campaign. And so for our first big outreach event, we did a webinar called Charging into the Future, Get Charged Up About Electric Vehicles. And this webinar featured 8 local EV owners, all with different kinds of cars, different experiences with their cars, and they shared with us their experience buying, owning, driving electric vehicles. And they were really able to dispel a lot of myths about that. The audience members were very engaged, asked great questions, and it was a great jumping off point for us to think about what we want to do next as a group. So I think one thing for sure is that education around transportation choices and options in electric vehicles is going to be part of what we continue to do. That could look like more presentations and workshops for local groups. That could look like more webinars. And I think a lot of just word-to-word difference, getting the word out there from person to person. I'm thinking maybe a Meet the EV Owner event would be fun. So that's one of the things I'm thinking about. We're also really interested in working on incorporating different items involving equity into our group. Obviously, not everybody can just go out and buy an electric vehicle, and there's a lot of things to think about that as well. But so, looking at how we're doing our outreach. Right now, COVID times, it makes it challenging to do some things, but we need to find a mix between these high-tech Zoom meetings and phone calls, and maybe engaging people at the post office or the grocery store. So just some things we're thinking about with moving forward with that group.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. I am a junior at Capitol High School, and I'm the president of the Capitol Climate Club. And I'm working with Gecko, the Youth Education Community Outreach Action Group, and they've just been an amazing place for us to kind of build a community with people from different age groups and do some intergenerational climate activism. Last year we were planning a youth climate convention, and they were invaluable in giving us their wisdom about how to fundraise and plan and run an event around climate change. This year we're working on a youth panel where we educate adults about youth climate activism, and it has just been an amazing opportunity to share our feelings about climate activism and for them to help us sort of find our voices in this community.
Hi, my name's Luisa Sevier. I am a 17-year-old senior at Olympia High School, and I'm the Youth Legislative Officer for our high school's Climate Action Club. I'm also a part of Gecko, and Gecko is like a small action group that's part of TCAT, and we're basically a group of young climate activists and older, more experienced climate activists. And what's great about Gecko is that it's like a resource for us younger folks to kind of talk with people who've had more experience, who have been sort of involved for much longer, and we can use them as a sounding board and really get some help refining our ideas and getting our projects more like set in stone, I guess. And TCAT, TCAT does a really good job supporting Gecko as far as publicity, like getting out the word about events that young climate activists are having. So like last year in September on the 20th, there was that big worldwide climate strike, and our Climate Action Club had a strike, and TCAT did an amazing job of putting that in their newsletter. And so that sort of thing has been really helpful, as well as advertising other events that youth are organizing. And some stuff that I have done with Gecko as part of the Olympia High School Climate Action Club has been working on A youth climate conference that we were planning for this April, which sadly was derailed because of coronavirus. But yeah, just a lot of what I've done with Gecko has been working on projects that the Climate Action Club at Olympia High School or the Climate Action Club at Capitol High School and the OHS Club have been working on together, and really just getting resources from the older people to really figure stuff out.
Many people, as they've come to understand the climate footprint of how we eat, have come to realize that they want to change the way they eat. That's not always an easy thing to do. We have a lifetime of habits about how we eat. So TCAT created a Eating for a Healthy Planet support group. And one of the things that's cool about this is it turns out the way that's the healthiest to eat for the planet is also the healthiest to eat for your own personal health. So if you're one of those people trying to make those kind of changes in your life, come join the support group or support the work that we do.
My name is Lisa Cezanne, and I am the facilitator for the Tree Action Group in Thurston Climate Action Team. The Tree Action Group was formed right after the convention of April of 2019, I guess it is, and I joined it that summer of 2019, and the people who joined really care about protecting trees, preserving trees. We recognize the importance of trees in helping in mitigate the effects of climate change and all the other really wonderful advantages they provide us that are great for our physical health, but also our mental health. Last year we started by researching the tree codes for our 4 local jurisdictions, the county, county commissioners, and then also Tumwater, Lacey, and Olympia, to see where they were at in terms of protecting trees and preserving them, especially in regards to cutting trees. And what we found is that none of them have really great codes. We've used models like Portland has really great codes. We've used that as a model. We also learned recently, just I think earlier this year, the town of Woodinville near Seattle, they created new codes that are really very respectful of tree and recognizing their importance. So that's been a model for us too. And so we have been in contact with the cities and the county in terms of talking about ways that their tree codes can be improved and tying it into the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan, because carbon sequestration is also a part of that plan, not just drawing down or preventing emissions in transportation and buildings, which are the largest contributors to emissions, but we want to look at ways of drawing down, sequestering carbon, and trees do a marvelous job of that, and we have lots of trees here. I've been working with the steering committee, I suppose you could say, or with the director of the whole process of the climate mitigation plan to ensure that carbon sequestration is included, which it has been, and certainly that has to do with agriculture. Soils also sequester carbon, but also making sure trees and tree protection are in there. And then we've been monitoring the cities. For example, I attended recently, I think it was in August, Tumwater had a meeting to introduce the draft plan of their urban forestry proposal, or their urban forestry plan, which is a really, really good one, and really progressive in terms of recognizing the importance of preserving and conserving trees, and when they need to be cut, doing that in a way that is respectful of them and their needs horticulturally. So we're going to continue, with that kind of activism for local issues of mass tree cutting and try to get it stopped.
Hi, I'm David Gaw. I'm a board member with the Thurston Climate Action Team and currently the co-lead for our Buildings as Climate Action Team, or BACA. I'm working with Chris Van Dalen and the Northwest Eco Building Guild, the South Sound chapter, and we're working together to bring in the element of collaboration with our community. Many community members, including individual advocates and household members, as well as financial institutions and building contractors in our community. We're hopeful in terms of developing the strategy and identifying the opportunities within the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan that enable us and our community to take action. This includes an array of things that help us remove carbon, as well as the impacts from climate change from all of our buildings, how we build and how we use energy in our home or in our buildings. We're looking to you to help us take action and bring those specific opportunities to life in our community.